Boxingego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button, also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, Venmo, and the Patreon family. We are working. Now, I wanted to make this video. I was looking at Tom Loeffler, his verified account on Twitter, and he posted a picture of him, Gennady, and no guys, Golovkin, Abel Sanchez, and somebody else. Caption reads, Team Triple G together again on our way to Dallas for a big TECATE announcement and scouting locations for his next fight. So I'm not sure exactly what the announcement is, but he probably has some kind of new partnership. He's working with Hublot, and he probably got some kind of sponsorship or endorsement with TECATE. I think they work with Canelo, different things like that. So congrats to him for that. I'll keep you guys posted on what that announcement is once it's revealed. Now, they also said scouting locations for a new fight. Now, I want to give my thoughts. I've heard multiple things. I don't know what is the actual fact because I've heard different things. But I heard Team Triple G is willing to wait for Canelo if the rematch should happen. Now, this is my honest opinion on the situation. I was at the fight. I covered the fight. It was a good fight, whether you had Golovkin or Canelo winning, or if you were content with the draw. I think an immediate rematch should happen. But Canelo is the A side. He's made that abundantly clear, right? And he's saying he's not fighting for the rest of this year. Okay, cool. He wants to fight on the quote-unquote Mexican dates, which is May and September of 2018. Now, the problem with that, I am personally not a big fan of fighters stagnating their career, waiting in hopes of fighting someone. I.e., I think the best recent example that I could think of off the top of my head is Amir Khan. Amir Khan has wasted so much of his prime years, right? Age 25 to 30 or whatever age he is now, hoping and chasing. Even to this day, I just did a video about it. Amir Khan is calling out Floyd Mayweather the last 2 days, a guy who's retired, right? Pacquiao's a congressman or politician, so he's on the verge of retirement. And Amir Khan, especially with Floyd, he's been pushing and chasing, and then Floyd was like, nah, you're doing too much. And then he ended up fighting Maidana. And then Maidana gave him a good first fight, so he fought him again. Then he fought Pacquiao. Then he fought Berto, Khan's stablemate, probably to add insult to injury, like, haha, I'm fighting somebody in your gym, and it's not you, right? And Khan's still chasing that fight. He said he wants a Manny Pacquiao fight. And Bob Arum and Pacquiao and everyone was acting like there was talks. And they were saying there was some money in Dubai to make it happen. It fell through. So, long story short, I'm not a fan of that. And again, especially with the person with the power of Canelo, I think Triple G at age 35, by the time they fight, if they fight in May, he'll be 36. You know what I mean? And I think Triple G has his style is probably better to keep him fighting. You know what I mean? Make sure he doesn't gain too much weight in his off season and keep him fresh and fluid and, you know what I mean, just ready for, because he puts a lot of pressure on his opponents and stuff like that. So I think that style is better. He's not necessarily the most technical guy. He does some good things offensively, but he's not all around super athletic and crazy defense, things like that. So to me, I feel like if they can't get a definitive answer by the end of this year, they should start looking for their other options. Because, tell you like this, Golden Boy has already made it public that they have a plan B if the Canelo Golovkin negotiations for the rematch don't work for whatever reason. Golden Boy has said that if David Lemieux, who's working with Eye of the Tiger Management, but also with Golden Boy, he works with both of them, right? If he beats Billy Joe Saunders for the WBO title, then that's definitely a fight I could see them making. And Golden Boy has stated that's something, a person of interest, if you will. And this is something that's been going on for a while. I think they've been building this in the background for a while and keeping Lemieux on tap, because they put Lemieux, he wasn't initially on the Canelo Julio Cesar Fantastico Chavez Jr. card, and then they put him on there against Marcos Reyes, a guy that Chavez Jr. had fought, right? And they added him. So usually, a lot of times when they add to the main bill, they add somebody else with a name like a David Lemieux. It's because they're building a future fight. So I think there's a strong possibility that even if things don't go smoothly, that's what you got to understand. Let's say they're negotiating and Golovkin's like, no, I beat you. And like he really feels he won the first fight, even though they scored a draw. And what if he wants X amount of money? And they're like, nah, we're not giving you that split. We're not. So there are some potential complications. Even if David Lemieux loses to Billy Joe Saunders, I think that's a fight that Golden Boy would be interested in making. So they kind of have a backup plan for Canelo, because Billy Joe Saunders, if he beats David Lemieux in Canada, that's a great win, because ever since the Golovkin loss for Lemieux, he's been doing his thing. You know what I mean? Curtis Stevens, that was a good win for him. Knocked him out. Marcos Reyes, you know what I mean? So if Billy Joe Saunders goes from beating Willie Monroe to David Lemieux in his backyard, then that's a fight for him. Same thing with David Lemieux. So Canelo has some options right there. So to me, that's just my opinion on the situation. I've heard different things. I heard that Team Triple G is willing to work and wait for Canelo, but they spent 2016 chasing Canelo and they still didn't get their fight. Now that they got the fight, you know what I mean? Canelo might feel that he's not obligated to immediately rematch him, or there could be some debate on how much he gets, because Canelo says he won. Golovkin says he won, even though it scored a draw. So that's just my honest opinion. Daniel Jacobs is getting ready to fight Luis Cuba Arias. I think the winner of that fight would be a good fight with Triple G. If it's Jacobs, then a rematch with Triple G. Jacobs is on the network too now, HBO. He did a multi-fight deal. You have Jermall Charlo, who's the #1 mandatory. And that's the other thing. I don't particularly care for what I've heard from Team Golovkin regarding Charlo. They're like, Charlo has to do more, and who's he beat at middleweight? It doesn't matter, me, you, or anybody else, what we think he's done. The fact is he was a champion in the former division, one division below, at 54. He's undefeated, and the WBC ranked him #2, and he fought Golovkin's longtime mandatory, Jorge Sebastian Highland, and he knocked him out. So I seen Abel Sanchez said something like, oh, you knocked out a handicapped guy. That's not Charlo's fault. That has nothing to do with Charlo. If the dude had wooden legs, if he had a peg leg, that don't have nothing to do with it. Charlo's lines only, he's coming there to scrap, and if the dude gets hurt, then that's what it is. Charles Martin, he got a title from a guy like that. You know what I'm saying? And then Anthony Joshua got the title from him by knocking him out. You know what I'm saying? So tough titty. Injuries happen in the sport, and then you have to move on and get past it. But you can't blame Charlo. He did what he had to do, and he knocked out his man, and now he's ranked #1. So I don't know what it is. See, this is the thing for me. Team Triple G, for all these years, he's been kind of the boogeyman, or that's what they've claimed. They said nobody wants to fight Triple G, and he can knock out anyone from 154 to 168. He can even knock out Ward Kovalev, or beat Ward Kovalev and Stevenson at 75. You know what I mean? So they built him up as the boogeyman in boxing around his division, but he's never moved up. And now there's some formidable challenges at middleweight where it's like, okay, middleweight is starting to pique some interest. You know what I mean? Jacobs fighting Luis Cuba Arias. Jacobs already gave you a tough fight. Jermall Charlo's now in the division. Him and his brother have been on a tear. And then now all of a sudden, it doesn't seem like there's a super eagerness to land some of those fights not named Canelo. You know what I'm saying? Like Daniel Jacobs, they said, oh, we'll rematch him possibly in 4 to 6 fights in the future. Why? Name 4 to 6 other people you're going to fight before that. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny because certain guys like Andre Ward, Floyd Mayweather, let them have a tough fight. They have to immediately show that they're better by not fighting anyone else in between and fighting that person again. Yet Vasyl Lomachenko, he could fight Salido, lose to him, and that was 3 years ago, and he still hasn't rematched him. Golovkin, he had a very tough fight, controversial fight with Jacobs, and then they could say, oh, we don't have to fight him for another 5 to 6 years. That's not what the people want. That's a lie, because I would love to see that fight again if Jacobs gets past Luis Cuba Arias. You know what I'm saying? Especially since he's on HBO now. And same thing with Jermall Charlo. Now he's calling out Canelo and Triple G, which is something Miguel Cotto, when he was champion, wasn't really doing. Sergio Martinez didn't look like he wanted parts of Triple G. But now you got a young stud, Lions only, saying, yeah, I'll fight the winner of Canelo Triple G. They can't beat me. Lions only. And they're kind of playing the villain role. And now the narrative is, why should we fight him? Who's he beat? He hasn't beat anyone. But it's still a great fan-friendly fight, especially if you're in Dallas. You know what I mean? If you're in Texas, put that in Texas. I'm sure Golovkin's style would be appreciated by the fans of Texas, and the Charlos are from Texas. You know, and he's the #1 mandatory, so despite what you or I think about who he's beaten, that's the #1 mandatory. And no one had a mandatory issue when Golovkin fought Dominic Wade, who was virtually unheard of. No one really even knew who he was or what he brought to the table. So at least we know Charlo, and both Charlo brothers are undefeated, and they're both coming off impressive wins. Julian J. Rock Williams and Sebastian Jorge Highland, and the other brother Jermell knocking out Erickson Lubin. Their names are starting to buzz a little bit. So I find that pretty funny from Team Golovkin, that now there's some suitable challenges in the division, and it looks like they're willing to wait on the sidelines for Golovkin. And they said they wanted to be undisputed. They could have been fought Billy Joe Saunders, but they took the money route with Canelo. And again, I'm not saying I denounce that or I wouldn't do the same thing, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't be waiting on Canelo and letting him stall up your career, point blank period. So I'll see what Team Triple G's next move is. I think Triple G, if he can't get a solid answer, him and his team, like, yes, we're in for May, everything's agreed upon, venues agreed upon. If they can't get that type of results from Golden Boy by at least December, then I think they should move on and be looking at Billy Joe Saunders, Lemieux winner, Danny Jacobs, Adias winner, or Jamal Charlo, period. Let me know your thoughts, drop it in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.